So please give it up for Izzy.
I'm so nervous. It's like I've never done this before and I've never stood here, but I'm very nervous. I wasn't nervous earlier, but I'm nervous now. Okay. So, before I start, I want to make sure that I earn your trust and that you feel deserving. I'll take that. You feel deserving of me being on stage right now. Just like do this. Yeah. I want to prove to you that I'm a creative just like you, Florencia, and Alex. So much so that I painted a white cat when I was 5 years old. Yeah, you heard that right. So we find a white lost cat, and it stayed over at our house for a few days before we found its owner. And before the owner came to pick it up, I decided to give it some improvements. And it's crazy because I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a performance on its own, and I'm going to reenact it because it's worth it. I was dancing with the cat as it roamed around my legs, and I had those thick colored markers, you know, the scented ones that we used to have when we were kids, and I was just painting some patterns and some nice shapes on it. Come on. Okay. And when I was done, I entered the room where my parents were watching TV, and I said, "Look, a work of art." And you can ask them. They're sitting right here. Is it true? Yeah, it's true? There you go. Okay. Before we all get on our high horses, full disclaimer, no cats were harmed during this art experiment. Okay? We're all good. This is also AI generated for you guys. So, what does this have to do with momentum? Right? Well, I saw an opportunity. I saw a white canvas. I saw a white canvas, thank you, and went for it. So, for me, momentum is all about that creative spark and how you need to keep that spark alive. It's also about how you seize the opportunity to keep the momentum going. And this is why I decided to name this talk, "Don't Wait for the Paint to Dry on a Cat." Bonsoir, everyone. Good evening. I'm Isabelle. Everyone calls me Izzy. I'm a brand designer, certified architect. I'm just going to repeat it because it's, entrepreneur, content creator, Adobe insider, artist, and Ottawa Design Club founder. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter because I'm a creative just like all of you. I should read my notes here, but I'm reading it here. Sorry. Again, I've never done this before. I was lucky enough to study at OttawaU's specialized Bachelor's of Fine Arts program, where my creative spark was very much alive. It was easy to create, live, and breathe the creative life because that's what was expected of me. But once I graduated, that changed drastically as I entered the real world, because you all know how the real world treats young creatives. So I worked at an art gallery, I worked as an educator at the city of Ottawa, I worked in an agency, and I freelance. I was grasping onto every little thing that would just light that creative spark again, and I was working nonstop. And then, like a good Ottawa citizen, as one should do when they're in Ottawa, I landed a job at the government. Thank you. And call me crazy because I actually left a permanent position at an agency to go work for a contract at the government. Yeah, right? It was fun because my skills were very much appreciated. They loved my conceptual thinking from my BFA. It was a very small department that operated like an agency. I had a voice, and I could see clearly where I contributed to the organization, and I felt like I was a part of something. I really liked my job, like really. Not just because I had paid vacation. And believe it or not, but my first branding project, wow, that was well, also, yeah. Believe it or not, but my first branding project was created at the Gov. It got me a lot of attention, and everyone knew my name. I would go and fetch coffee during my breaks, and people would congratulate me for my work. And I told myself, oh my gosh, this is it? And I can't believe I found it at the Gov out of all places. But that was short-lived, because unfortunately, it takes one bad apple to rotten the bunch. And after a change of management, despite my achievements, I was victim of office bullying. And suddenly, all my accomplishments meant nothing. All the allies I thought I had just disappeared. And I kept telling myself, maybe if I work hard enough, I can turn things around. And the added pressure caused some anxiety, lack of sleep, panic attacks, which resulted in a chronic depression. As you know, the government world is very small, especially in the communications sector. And I was going from department to department, and I still couldn't escape the fake and untrue reputation that preceded me. As a result of that, the mistreatment followed. For example, if I asked for a day off, I had to bring a doctor's note. I was asked not to speak in meetings because my title and rank was too low. I was always the one staying behind for overtime because I didn't have kids. I accumulated over 120 hours of overtime within 3 months, and that's immediately after returning from a stress leave. As you can imagine, the spark wasn't there. And again, I was still telling myself, maybe if I work hard enough, someone will notice me. Someone will notice my talent. Something else has to come my way. And I was just waiting for opportunities to come up magically. I worked on big projects that were featured on TV, seen, and even touched by our Prime Minister. I know, some big accomplishments for some, but those projects didn't matter to me because they were so macro-managed that I was not proud of them. They were subpar. Now looking back, I think this was intentional. They didn't want me to exceed. They didn't want to be seen as a performing team. And I was often told, 75% is good enough. You're too creative for us. Yeah, that's basically the opposite of my work ethics. And all my good designs were just dismissed. And deep down, I knew that my projects were good, so I posted them on Behance. I wanted them to be seen by the world unapologetically. And I got into a lot of shit for doing so, let me tell you. But little did I know that this act of defiance would contribute to my momentum. I did not want to conform to bad design, and I wanted to keep my skills sharp. That's when I found Adobe Live. I was watching the designers design live from the San Francisco office, and I remember telling myself, oh, I wish one day I'd be good enough to be on Adobe Live. But that seemed so far away because I'm just Izzy, sitting at the Gov in an office in Ottawa. January 2019, and I was starting at yet another department. And as I waited for my computer to be set up, I got an email from Capsules Books. Capsules Books is a worldwide publication featuring creatives from all around the globe. And these books are sent to creative agencies and studios all around the world, and the featured talent is the creatives to hire for the year. Funny enough, they were interested in one of those rejected projects from the government. At that very moment, just like Alex and Florencia, I decided to give myself a year to do everything in my power to exit the Gov and become my own boss. And then I had an epiphany because suddenly I realized that I was the one that was still deciding to stay at the government. I was the one who was making that same mistake over and over again. Okay, fine, there were outside factors, but I was the one allowing it to happen to myself. So it made me realize that often when you find yourself in situations like these and you think that you don't have a choice, you often have a choice. Most of the time, you always have a choice. And then my spark was back. And this new mindset helped me to rebalance my state of mind. I drafted a to-do list and everything that I needed to feel somewhat comfortable to quit my job. You'll never feel ready. But this was a very tall order. And it wasn't easy, and it took a lot of discipline to achieve it. The months that followed felt very mechanical. Go to work, go to the gym, eat, freelance until 2, 3 a.m., sleep, work on weekends, start over. Go to work, go to the gym, eat, freelance until 2, 3 a.m., sleep, work on weekends, start over. Go to work, go to the gym, eat, freelance until 2, 3 a.m., sleep, work on weekends, start over. And it took a lot of sacrifice. It was daunting, it was hard, it was scary, but my wish to achieve this goal was so much bigger, and this goal is what I would fall back on when I started to doubt myself. In December 2019, the office toxicity was rising up. It was intense. And I couldn't handle it anymore. So I gave my resignation. I said, I quit. Thank you. It felt very good in the moment. I felt so free, right? I was working for this for a full year. But quickly, reality started to set in. And I was afraid. I cried for hours. And I even made up a plan to go and get my job back. But as soon as I got home, I received a copy of Capsule's books. That was not planned. And it was exactly the kick in the butt that I needed. My spark was fully back. So much so that I didn't start not one, but 2 creative endeavors. A part of me thinks that I was so deprived from this creative energy for a long time that this is why I created the club. But another part of me knows that it came from a need to connect with like-minded people because during my time at the government, I felt so alone. And I knew that I needed the support from my creative peers to embark on the creative freelance journey. And that's how the Ottawa Design Club was born. Thank you. My first year of freelancing was very steady, and every working engagement was a learning opportunity, especially during the pandemic. I kept saying yes to everything that would come my way in hopes of learning more about myself and learning more about my business. And I am very grateful for all of the clients who I have engaged with. But still, I was not getting the inquiries that I truly wanted to work on. I was looking for projects that would push the envelope and projects that would amalgamate all my skills. My BFA, design skills, branding skills, and of course, my love of community. And unfortunately, most clients don't want to take those risks. In a sense, I was losing momentum. Okay, can you guess what happens next? No, we're already in COVID. I heard it. Slug, that's really funny. But I heard it. Zines. The ODC zine. So that was definitely a shot in the dark, and I had no idea what was in front of me or what it meant for the club. And not only did the zines allow me to package all of my skills together, but it also allowed me to reach out to creatives that I admired that I was too shy to get in touch with. I remember reaching out to Chelsea Nelson, Rebecca Clouard, who's here tonight, Ryan Antua, Pascal Arpin, and our very own Alex. That was for that first zine. Seeing their willingness to support this project gave me the energy to fully apply myself, as I wanted to be someone they would consider part of their circle. The creative spark was at its maximum. And trust me, the zines, they weren't a walk in the park. But that's a whole entire talk, and I'll have to ask the founder to see if they want me back. What I love about our creative world is that you never know who's watching you from afar. And in one of the most hectic moments of my life, I got an email from Adobe. I told myself, okay, this has to be spam. Like, that can't be right. I mean, that signature looks legit. So does, like, the email address. I guess I'll give it a shot. And 2 days later, I was speaking with the Adobe Live content manager, and they were inviting me to do a segment. Not only that, but they also offered me the opportunity to host other creatives for future live stream. And I knew I wouldn't have this opportunity again if I asked for a postponement. So just to give you some context, I was moving into my new house, which meant that I had to set up my internet. They also requested a cute office, so I had to set up my office. And I also had a project to figure out to present. So that was a lot for a 2-week deadline, and I couldn't afford to fail. That specific live stream reached over 100K views, and I was so busy and in high production that it's only once I was finished with that live stream that I realized that I was now one of those designers featured on Adobe Lives. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, one of the same designers I was looking up to when I was back at the government. Okay, so as my journey with Adobe unfolded, it was a constant push and pull. And I often found myself in a position of uncertainty, never quite knowing where I stood with them. It was maddening, but then again, I realized something crucial. I needed to change my mindset again. Instead of fixating on the perfection and where I stood, I decided to just embrace the process and have fun with it. And these engagements with Adobe, as sporadic and unpredictable as they were, became the cherry on top of my creative career. And this new mindset allowed me to be more comfortable in front of the camera and led me to have my own show, Creative Design, and be invited to the San Francisco office studio, not one, but twice in 2 months. Thank you. The same goes for the zines. What started as a small project grew a lot bigger than I anticipated. Our zine launch was the embodiment of the work I've always aspired to do. And that event that you see behind was precisely the proof of concept I was missing from my portfolio to attract the engagements I sought. And if it weren't from taking that leap once again, I don't know if 2024 would look the same. You'll see. The more momentum you have, the more your point of reference will change. You'll want to move faster, and you'll want to take bigger risks. Which brings us to today. Inception. Sorry. That's an Ariane move, actually. Public speaking was the next thing on my list. And of course, I could wait for another event to invite me, but that wouldn't prove my point, wouldn't it? Me talking to you right now on this stage at an event that I founded is the testament that, I'll start that again. I got emotional. Me talking to you right now at this event that I founded is a testament to what happens when you stop waiting and you start doing. It's about creating the environment where opportunities can flourish and maintain that momentum. So please, I beg of you, everyone, don't wait for the paint to dry on a cat. Thank you.